She stood by the fence, watching the horses run, but her eyes were far away, lost in thought. Something had changed in Amy. Fans saw it, they felt it. A softness, a glow, a secret she hadn't spoken out loud. Could Amy Fleming, after all the heartbreak and loss, be holding something new close to her heart? Some say it's just a rumor. Others believe it's the beginning of a whole new chapter. And it all starts with the pain she's carried since the day she said goodbye to Taya. Since Ty's death, Amy has lived a quiet life, wrapped in the love of her family and the safety of Heartland. But no matter how peaceful the ranch feels, there has always been a shadow behind her smile. Losing Ty didn't just break her heart, it changed her. For a long time, Amy poured all her energy into raising Lindy and helping with the horses. She was strong but lonely, brave but guarded. And the pain she carried was always just beneath the surface. In the earlier seasons after Ty passed, Amy avoided anything that reminded her of what she lost. She didn't want to fall in love again. She didn't want to imagine a future that didn't include Ty. Even the idea of someone new stepping into her life felt like a betrayal, but life kept moving. Lindy grew older, asking more questions. And slowly, Amy started to open her heart, not to love at first, but to healing. We saw this shift in season 17 and even more clearly in season 18. Amy began smiling more. Her laughter came back, though it was quieter than before. She spoke about Ty with warmth, not just sadness. And most importantly, she started to let others in, especially when it came to Lindy's well-being and the ranch's future. Amy was finding her strength again. But fans wondered, was she ready for something more? By season 19, Amy's emotions became more layered. She still had moments where she looked up at the sky and whispered to Ty, but there were also times she stood alone in the barn, touching her stomach with a look that made fans pause. It wasn't dramatic, it wasn't loud, but it was real. Could it be that Amy was carrying more than just memories now? One of the biggest signs that Amy was changing came during a scene with Lou. They talked about family, about what it means to move forward. Lou gently asked Amy if she ever thought about finding happiness again. Amy didn't answer right away, but the silence said everything. She wasn't just thinking about herself anymore. She was thinking about Lindy, about what kind of future. She wanted to build, not just survive. Amy's strength has always been her love for animals, for her daughter and for Ty. But season 19 has added a new layer to her story. A quiet hope, a hidden possibility. Something growing inside her, not just emotionally, but maybe physically too. Fans who know Amy well have picked up on these subtle changes. They've seen the way she pauses before speaking, the way she holds her coat closer around her midsection. Some say it's just cold weather. Others believe it's something more, something life-changing. And if that's true, then season 19 might be the most emotional journey Amy has ever faced, because it's not just about letting go of the past. It's about creating a brand new future. He arrived quietly, with no big introduction or dramatic entrance. Just a man with calm eyes, steady hands, and a way of speaking that didn't demand attention, but somehow kept it. Nathan didn't come to steal the spotlight. He came to work with horses. And yet, in a season full of questions, he became the biggest mystery of all. Nathan was first seen helping Amy at the ranch, offering advice about a troubled colt. At first, it looked like just another guest appearance, another horse expert passing through, but then he stayed. Episode after episode, Nathan kept showing up, fixing fences, helping with the stables, even talking with Jack about old cowboy ways. He blended into Heartland so naturally that some viewers didn't notice how often he was there until they did. The real shift happened not in what Nathan did, but how Amy reacted to him. She didn't flirt. She didn't laugh the way Lou does when she's crushing on someone. But she listened, she looked. And once she smiled in that quiet way she used to smile at Ty. It was enough to make fans sit up and ask, who is this man? Nathan has a past, though the show hasn't revealed everything yet. He mentioned growing up around ranches, working with horses since he was young. But there's a sadness in him, too, something unspoken, something heavy. Maybe that's why Amy doesn't push him away. She sees the pain behind his steady eyes. And maybe he sees hers too. One key moment came when Amy was struggling with a horse that wouldn't trust anyone. Nathan didn't force a solution. He just stood beside her and said, "Sometimes trust starts in silence." Amy looked at him for a long second. She didn't speak. But the moment hung in the air like a soft promise, gentle, but real. God, it's not just Amy who notices him either. Jack watches Nathan with a protective eye, unsure if this new man means change. Lou raised an eyebrow once when she saw Nathan and Amy talking alone near the corral. Even Katie asked who the new cowboy was. In a place like Heartland, people don't often say things directly, but their eyes say enough. What makes Nathan different is that he doesn't try too hard. He's not trying to fill Ty's place. He's not trying to charm anyone. He simply shows up. He helps. He listens. And in Amy's world, that kind of quiet presence can be more powerful than any grand gesture. There was also one scene that fans can't stop talking about. Amy was feeling unwell. She stepped away from the others, holding her stomach briefly. Nathan saw it, walked over, and softly asked, "You all right?" She nodded, brushing it off, but their eyes met. For a second, too long. It was subtle, but in shows like Heartland, that's all it takes. So who is Nathan? Some say he's just a ranch hand with good instincts. Others believe he's being set up as a new love interest, someone who won't replace Ty, but who could help Amy find happiness again. What's clear is this: Nathan is not here by accident. He has a purpose in Amy's story. Whether she's ready for it or not. As season 19 unfolds, Nathan's presence grows stronger, not in loud ways, but in the soft, meaningful ones. And fans are left wondering, if Amy does have a secret she's hiding, is Nathan the one who already knows it? Asterisk, it was just a few seconds, barely a moment, but that one scene in the trailer changed everything. Amy, standing alone in the barn, her hand resting gently on her stomach. No words, just silence, a slow breath, and that look in her eyes like she was holding something close. Fans paused, rewound, watched again. And from that moment on, the whispers began. Is Amy pregnant? Trailers are designed to tease, not reveal. But for Heartland fans who know every detail of Amy's body language, every tiny shift in expression, the clues were hard to ignore. In one episode sneak peek, Amy is seen turning down a cup of coffee from Lou, saying she's trying to cut back. But Amy loves coffee, always has, so why now? Then there's the moment she steps away from a group conversation, placing a hand over her stomach and wincing. At first it looks like stress, but then Nathan notices. He follows her, asks if she's okay. She nods, says it's nothing. But the way she avoids his eyes tells another story. Was it just a coincidence or a carefully planted clue? Fans also noticed a subtle change in Amy's wardrobe this season. Gone are the tighter-fitting shirts and open vests. Instead, she's wearing more loose layers, oversized jackets, and longer tops. Costume design in Heartland has always been intentional. Could the producers be hiding a baby bump? Or are they just playing with us? In another scene, Amy is unusually emotional while brushing a pregnant mare. She whispers, "You're going to be a good mama," with tears in her eyes. At first, it feels like a sweet moment between a horse and its caretaker, but fans quickly linked it to something deeper. Was Amy speaking to herself too? Even Lou's behavior has raised questions. She's been more protective of Amy lately, asking her to rest more, encouraging her to slow down. In one short trailer clip, Lou even says to Jack, she needs to take care of herself now more than ever. That line stood out, more than ever. Why now? Another clue is Jack's quiet concern. He's never been one for many words, but he's been watching Amy more closely. He asks if she's eating enough. He insists on helping her more around the barn. And during one dinner scene, he stares at her for a long time before saying, "You." No, life has a funny way of surprising us. Amy smiles but doesn't respond. Fans noticed her eyes glisten right after Da. Then there's the foal. A baby horse born mid-season, healthy and strong. Amy bonds with it instantly. She talks to it about the future, about starting over. That's when Nathan walks in. Their eyes meet and he says, "It suits you. caring for new life. Amy turns away, but she's smiling. Social media lit up after that scene aired. Viewers flooded comment sections with theories. Some say it's just emotional projection. Others are convinced this is how Heartland does pregnancy reveals: slow, subtle, full of heart. Still, no one has confirmed anything. Not the writers, not the cast. The official synopses avoid the topic completely, but fans know better. When Amy starts resting her hand on her belly in moments of quiet, when she avoids riding certain horses, when her appetite suddenly changes, these aren't just random details. These are hints. And Heartland fans are trained to see them. So the question stands, is Amy hiding a pregnancy? Or are the writers leading us down a path that ends in something else, like adoption, or maybe even a health scare? One thing is clear. Something big is happening. And the signs are everywhere if you're paying close enough attention. She still wears the ring. That simple silver band on her finger speaks louder than words. Years after Ty's death, Amy Fleming continues to carry him with her. Not just in memory, not just in photos, but in her every step. So when fans ask, could she be falling in love again? The real question hiding beneath is harder. Would she even let herself? Amy's heart has always been a quiet place. She isn't one to chase romance or rush into feelings. When she loved Ty, it happened naturally through moments, not words. So, if a new love is blooming, especially with someone like Nathan, it wouldn't come with fireworks. It would come with silence, with stillness, with a decision she makes alone while brushing a horse or walking by the river, asking herself if it's time. This season, Amy seems to be standing at a crossroad. Not a dramatic one, but one filled with invisible weight. Every scene with Nathan feels heavy with questions she's not ready to answer. In one episode, they ride together in silence, and Nathan mentions how peaceful the ranch is. Amy responds, it wasn't always. She doesn't explain further. She doesn't need to. The past is still with her. There's one moment where Amy is cleaning out Ty's old toolbox. She finds a small note he once wrote, just a reminder to buy feed. But she stares at it like it's a letter from another world. Lindy walks in and asks, did Daddy write that? Amy nods, tears barely held back. He always remembered the little things. It's a powerful reminder that Ty isn't just gone, he's woven into everything. So how does a woman like Amy open her heart again? Not easily. And not without guilt, because falling in love again doesn't feel like starting over. It feels like betrayal. That's the real conflict inside her. It's not whether she can love again, it's whether she should. Whether she's allowed, whether loving someone new erases the love she had before. Nathan never pushes. That's what makes his presence so different from others in Amy's life. He simply waits. In one quiet scene, he says to her, you don't owe anyone your healing. And for a moment, Amy just breathes. For the first time, she doesn't rush to respond. She just sits with those words. There's a softness growing between them, but Amy keeps her walls up. Even Jack, who has always supported her, seems unsure. In a rare private moment, he tells Amy, you know Ty would want you to live, not just survive. Amy nods, but her eyes drift to the hills where she once rode with Ty. Even Lou doesn't press, but you can tell she notices. She watches Amy more closely now during dinner, during chores when Amy talks about the future. And every time Nathan's name comes up, there's a flicker of hesitation in Amy's voice. Amy's dilemma isn't about whether Nathan is a good man. He is. The audience sees that. Jack sees it. Even Lindy seems to like him. The dilemma is inside Amy. It's that deep, unspoken fear. What if I let go of the past? And it means I lose it forever? But that's not how love works. And Amy is beginning to understand that. In one powerful scene, Amy watches Lindy running across the field, laughing. Nathan walks up beside her, doesn't say a word, and Amy quietly says, she deserves to see what happiness looks like, even if it's different now. That line said more than any love confession ever could. Amy is on the edge. The edge of something painful, but also beautiful. She doesn't have to forget Ty to love again. She doesn't have to erase the past to embrace a future. But choosing to move forward, that's a courage even deeper than the loss she's faced. And now, with every passing moment between her and Nathan, one thing becomes clear. Amy's not just healing anymore, she's deciding. Asterisk, it wasn't loud. It wasn't romantic in the usual way. There was no dramatic kiss, no music swelling in the background. But to anyone who understands Heartland, it was the most intimate moment Amy has shared since Ty's death. A quiet night. A dimly lit barn. Two people sitting on hay bales, tired, dusty, and holding more inside than they were saying. This is where everything changed between Amy and Nathan. It started with a storm rolling in. The horses were restless. Amy had stayed late in the barn to calm a young colt. Nathan didn't leave either. He stayed, working in silence, respecting her space. No one asked him to stay. He just did. When the rain began to fall hard on the roof and the barn lights flickered, the quiet between them turned into something deeper. Nathan noticed Amy shivering slightly. Without a word, he took off his jacket and draped it over her shoulders. Amy didn't stop him. She didn't smile either. But she looked at him not like a friend, not like a stranger. Like someone who was beginning to see something she didn't expect. A new kind of safety. They sat there for minutes, saying nothing. Then Nathan finally spoke, voice soft and low. "You carry a lot of weight, Amy." That's all he said. No questions. No pressure, just a statement. But it hit her hard. Amy didn't cry. But she lowered her head and said something fans haven't heard in years. "Some days I don't know who I am without him." And then this was the moment Nathan said, "Maybe you don't need to be without him. Maybe you just need to let someone walk beside you." That line wasn't meant to steal Ty's place. It wasn't romantic in a flashy way. But it broke something inside Amy, or maybe it healed something. For the first time, Amy didn't pull away when someone touched that wound. She didn't shut down. She looked Nathan in the eye and said, "I'm scared." It wasn't a love confession. It wasn't about pregnancy. It was pure honesty. The kind Amy rarely allows herself. And Nathan didn't say anything after that. He just sat with her. Gave her silence, space, and presence. That's what made this moment so intimate. No grand gestures, just trust, shared silence. The feeling that someone saw her not just as a mother, not just as a horse trainer, but as a woman who has loved deeply, lost painfully, and is still learning how to stand on her own. After that. Scene aired, fans flooded forums with comments. Some said it was just a friendship scene. Others argued it was more than that. It was emotional closeness that only two people on the edge of something deeper could share. What stood out to many was the body language. Amy didn't flinch. She leaned in, even just slightly. That's rare for her. Since Ty's death, she's avoided closeness. But here she allowed it. Later in the same episode, there's a short scene where Amy stands by the window of her home, watching the rain. She touches her stomach again, gently. Is she remembering that night in the barn? Or is she thinking about something even more personal, something unspoken that only she and Nathan share? We may never get a direct answer. Heartland doesn't move in straight lines. It doesn't rush love or force closure. But what we do know is this: something happened in that barn. A line was crossed not in romance but in trust. And sometimes in Amy's world, that's even more powerful. So now the question isn't just, are Amy and Nathan in love? It's, did something happen that night? Not physically, but emotionally. Something that can't be undone. Something that just might explain every subtle look, every awkward silence, and every sudden change we're seeing in Amy now. Was this the moment Amy's heart opened again? Maybe, or maybe it was the moment she realized it already had. Asterisk, it's never just a horse, never just a sunset, and certainly never just a passing line of dialogue. In Heartland, meaning is tucked into everything from the way Amy walks through the barn to the color of the sky behind her. This season, those small details are whispering something big, and fans who've been watching closely believe the writers are hiding a secret right in plain sight. Amy's new beginning. Let's start with the most powerful symbol this season, a foal. Born early in the story. At first glance, it's just another birth on the ranch. But the way Amy connects with the newborn horse is different. She visits it more than usual, even when there's no work to be done. In one scene, she holds the foal close and says softly, "You're going to bring so much light." That line isn't just about the animal. It's a reflection of what Amy might be feeling inside, an unspoken hope, a silent joy that she's not ready to share yet. Then there's the weather. In episodes where Amy's mood is heavy, the skies turn gray, the wind picks up and thunder rumbles faintly in the background. But in moments when she's around Nathan or Lindy or talking about the future, the clouds break and warm light streams through the windows. It's subtle, but it's deliberate. The writers of Heartland have always used nature to mirror emotion, and this season, the signs are hopeful. Even the dialogue is filled with hidden messages. Lou says things like, "It's time for something new," or "This house could use." Another little one. Jack, too, has dropped lines that feel loaded with double meaning. In one episode, he tells Amy, "This ranch has seen loss, but it's also seen new life. Don't forget that." Amy nods, her eyes distant, as if she's thinking about more than just horses or ranch business. There's also the curious matter of repetition. A line used often in the early seasons, "Life goes on at Heartland," has returned in season 19, but this time, it's not just about survival. It's about starting fresh. Fans believe that line is being used again for a reason to signal a rebirth, maybe even a literal one. Symbolism goes beyond words. It's in Amy's hands. She's seen frequently placing her palm against her lower belly. Not dramatically, but as a quiet motion. Once is nothing, twice, maybe coincidence. But 3 or 4 times across several episodes? That's writing. With purpose. The camera even lingers on her face afterward, showing emotions she doesn't say out loud: tenderness, worry, and something like wonder. Then there's Lindy's growing curiosity. In one scene, she asks Amy, "Wouldn't it be nice if I had a baby sister?" Amy freezes for a second, just a second, but her face shows more than surprise. There's fear. And hope. She quickly redirects the conversation, but fans caught the hesitation. And in Heartland, hesitation often means there's a truth waiting underneath. Even the soundtrack hints at something deeper. During emotional scenes between Amy and Nathan, the background score features soft piano with themes of warmth and awakening. It's not the sad, lonely music we used to hear when Amy thought about Ty. This is different, gentle, full of possibility. The writers of Heartland are masters of emotional layering. They rarely shout a plot twist. Instead, they weave it in through objects, expressions, repeated words, and the rhythm of everyday ranch life. It's why the show feels so real. And it's why this season feels like it's leading somewhere quiet, powerful, and completely life-changing. So what are they hiding? They might not say it outright. But through every newborn foal, every lingering glance, every sentence half-spoken and quickly swallowed, the message is becoming clearer. Amy isn't just healing. She isn't just surviving, she's transforming, and whether it's a baby, a new love, or a second chance at family, the story has already begun. We're just waiting for the words to catch up with the feeling. Asterisk, there's a quiet shift happening at Heartland. Not a dramatic storm, not a bold announcement, but something softer. Something that starts as a whisper and builds like a heartbeat. Amy Fleming, once frozen in grief, once lost in the silence Ty left behind, is standing at the edge of something new, and everyone's asking the same question: where is this story heading now? If you trace the path Amy has walked this season, the clues are all there. Her distance, her moments of stillness, the way she holds her jacket tighter around herself on chilly mornings, the sudden tiredness, the look she gave Nathan when he asked, "Are you okay?" and she said nothing at all. For some fans, this means one thing: Amy's pregnant. A new life is growing quietly, secretly, but unmistakably. If this theory is true, then season 19 is the most symbolic season since Ty's death. Not just because of the baby, but because of what it represents: rebirth, second chances, and the courage to love again. And if Nathan is the father, as the show strongly hints, then Amy's journey has come full circle. From heartbreak to healing, from loss to new love. But not everyone agrees. There's a second theory, just as powerful and just as emotional. In this version, Amy isn't pregnant at all. She's simply learning to open her heart. The baby symbols, the soft glances, the protective instincts, they aren't signs of motherhood, but signs of transformation. Maybe Amy won't have another child right now. Maybe the story isn't about a new baby, but a new Amy. This idea is just as meaningful. After all, what's harder than surviving the death of a soulmate? Choosing to live again. Choosing to smile, to let someone new walk beside you. Amy doesn't need to be pregnant to prove she's changing. She just needs to show up, to say yes to moments she once shut down. And Nathan might be the one to help her get there, not to replace Ty, but to remind her that love, in any form, is worth risking again. Heartland has always been about more than romance. It's about family, legacy, nature, and emotional honesty. If the writers choose to make Amy pregnant, it would be a bold and beautiful statement about hope after heartbreak. If they choose to simply show Amy falling in love again, it's just as brave, because it means the show still believes in slow healing, in silent strength, and in real human growth. So, where are we headed? Here's the most likely outcome. The season won't give us a clean answer, not right away. There may be no dramatic pregnancy reveal, no sudden kiss, just more hints, more long stares, more moments where Amy walks quietly into the barn, looks up at the sky, and lets herself imagine something different. But if we've learned anything from Heartland, it's that change doesn't always come loud. Sometimes it rides in softly, like a breeze through the trees. Sometimes it shows up in the eyes of a kind stranger. And sometimes it begins with a heartbeat so small, it can only be felt by the one who carries it. So whether Amy is building a future with Nathan, preparing to welcome a child, or simply learning to live in color again, one thing is clear. Season 19 isn't just continuing Amy's story. It's rewriting her ending, and maybe, just maybe, this isn't an ending at all, but the beginning of her next great chapter.